1887 in Berlin. If we can still remember kung ano ang pinagdaanan ni Jose Rizal, if we can still remember his struggles, no? Ay, okay na yan kay Tumlos. Thank you. While he were trying to survive in Berlin, no, there was a time he got sick. He got very frustrated, depressed, and to the point he threw, no, the draft of the Noli Me Tangere doon sa ano bang tawag nun? Sa sa apoy, to the fire furnace, I guess. Yan. So, but a friend of him, no, Maximo Viola, helped him financially provide for his needs and his for the printing of the said novel. Okay, so the early English translations use the title like An Eagle Flight back in 1900s, The Social Cancer 1912, but more recent translations have been published using the original Latin title, Noli Me Tangere, or in the English translation of this is Touch Me Not. No? So Rizal finished the novel on December 1886. And at first, according to one of the Rizal's biographers, Rizal feared that the novel might not be printed because of his struggles back then and that it would remain unread. He was struggling with financial constraints at the time and thought it would be hard to pursue printing the novel. Just like what I have mentioned earlier, there was a friend of him, Maximo Viola, a savior for Rizal, no, which helped him print his book at a fine print media in Berlin named Berliner Buchendrei. O yun na, mahirap i-pronounce eh. Aktengesellschaft. Yeah. Yan. So Rizal at first, however, hesitated, but Viola insisted and ended up lending him 300 pesos for 2,000 copies. If you can still remember, na-delay yung kanyang allowance. His allowance from Pasiano was delayed and that's his struggle. But by the time 1,000 pesos were sent by Pasiano, through Luna, one Luna, immediately paid Maximo Viola. No? So he knows his responsibility to pay back, no, what he borrowed from Maximo Viola. Hindi yung binaon na sa limot. No? Ay akala ko akin na yun. Ay akala ko tulong. Yan. So good trait naman ni Jose Rizal. One of his good trait is he knows if it is borrowed or a gift for him, no? But yeah, malinaw that Maximo Viola lended him 300 pesos for the printing of the Noli Me Tangere. So Noli Me Tangere was eventually printed in Berlin, Germany, and the printing was finished earlier than expected, 5 months. No? Estimated 5 months, no, estimate nila 5 months, 3 months pa lang ata tapos na yung nobela na i-print na siya. So they expected it to be printed for 5 months but the novel were printed for only 3 months. Viola arrived in Berlin in December 1886, and by March 21, 1887, Rizal had sent a copy of the novel to his friend Blumentritt. He actually gave Viola the original copy of it. Then he also gave his friend Blumentritt, Dr. Blumentritt, another copy of the novel. Okay? So, bago maimprenta ang nobela, before the novel were printed, there is a lot of challenges and struggle for him. no, financially. He thought that's the end and the novel won't be, uh, sabi dyan, would remain unread. Uh, so, who are the main characters of the Noli Me Tangere? So as we all know, and I guess we are still familiar with this guy, Juan Crisostomo Ibarra, Imagsalin. That's his complete name. But he was usually called as Crisostomo Ibarra. So he is the protagonist in the story, the son of a Filipino businessman, Don Rafael Ibarra. He studied in Europe for 7 years. No? And laging pinoportray dito, image daw yan ni Jose Rizal. So, it is always connected to the image of Jose Rizal, no? Crisostomo Ibarra. And we also have Maria Clara de los Santos y Alba. If you have seen I guess the adaptation of this novel in GMA 7, no, they tried to show, no, yung ano, yung part na yon ng Noli Me Tangere. Yeah. Maria Clara is commonly known as Ibarra's fiance. Okay? She was raised by Kapitan Tiago, but Kapitan Tiago is not his biological father. No? Kapitan Tiago is the San Diego's cabeza de barangay, or the town mayor, and the most beautiful girl and widely celebrated girl in San Diego. So, pinakamaganda, no? And fiance of Crisostomo Ibarra. We also have Don Santiago de los Santos, or commonly known as Kapitan Tiago. Yan. So he's a businessman, Filipino businessman, and like what I have said earlier, he is a cabeza de barangay, or head of barangay of the town San Diego. He is also known as the father of Maria Clara, but again, he is not the biological father. No. Padre Damaso Verdolagas, or Padre Damaso. Yeah. So you can still remember some of the characters from Crisostomo, Maria Clara, Kapitan Tiago, and Damaso. Can you still remember them? Hello? Ayan. Bata pa kayo nung pinag-aralan siguro yung Noli, pero nagmamarka naman siguro siya. You can... Oh, si Arnold, hindi na daw. Well, Padre Damaso is a Franciscan friar and the former parish curate of San Diego. He is best known as the notorious character that speaks with harsh words and has been a cruel priest during his stay in the town. So, well, obviously, because of his character, people hated him. No? Kasi very, ano siya, harsh, rude din. No? We also have Elias. Elias is Crisostomo Ibarra's mysterious friend and ally. No? Doon sa GMA 7, naging kaibigan niya yan, no? At kumbaga nakatulong sa kanya si Elias. Elias helped him. No? Elias made his first appearance as a pilot during a picnic of Ibarra and Maria Clara and her friends. He wants to revolutionize the country and to be freed from Spanish oppression. That's the reason why the book is a threat in reality, in real life during the time of Jose Rizal. They treated the book as ano, as a threat, no? That's why they banned this novel. Kasi may mga ganito ngang ano siya, nilalaman, because it has, idea like uh, fighting for your freedom, fighting for your rights, no? So ayaw ng mga Kastila yon, and the Spaniards or the Spanish government didn't want that kind of content. or idea. We also have Filoso Potasio. Yan. So I don't know if you can still remember him. Filoso Potasio is another major character in the story, seeking for reforms from the government, and he expresses his ideals in paper written in cryptographic alphabet, similar from hieroglyphs and Coptic figures, hoping that the future generations may be able to decipher it. Matalino yan si Piloso Potasio. No? And realized the abuse and oppression done by the conquerors. No? So he is a wise man, actually, in the novel. May mga sinusulat siya na he believed that the future generation might be able to understand it as as a time being modernized. Oh, and I expect niya na maiintindihan niya mga susunod na generation. So he expected that the following generation or the next generation would be able to understand what he's trying to say, no, regarding the abuse and the oppressive rule of the Spaniards. We also have these are the Piloso Potasio is part of the major character, no. We also have Doña Victorina. Doña Victorina is an ambitious Filipina who classifies herself as Spanish and mimics Spanish ladies by putting on heavy makeup. Doña Victorina de los Reyes de Espadaña is her full name. She's a Filipina who married a Spaniard. No. Why? Because she wants to be a Spanish lady. No. Very siya trying hard. Yeah. The novel narrates Doña Victorina's younger days. She had lots of admirers, but she did not choose any of them because nobody was a Spaniard. Later on, she met and married Don Tiburcio de Espadaña, an official of the Customs Bureau, who is about 10 years her junior. However, their marriage is childless, so wala po siyang naging anak. No? She married Don Tiburcio just because she wanted, you know, Spanish surname. She wanted to be identified as Spanish lady. No? We also have Narcisa, or also known as Sisa, the deranged mother of Basilio and Crispin, and I guess you know her. Described as beautiful and young, although she loves her children very much, she cannot protect them from the beatings of her husband Pedro. Nabaliw na si Isa nung namatay yung anak niya, no? Nawala na si yung anak niya, hinahanap niya na si Crispin. Tapos sinasaktan din siya ng asawa niya, no? Siya ay isang battered wife, no? Pedro is his is her husband na mahilig magsugal, no? Tag dito sa manok. Ah, wait lang ayaw yan, para hindi putol. Sabong pala, hindi sugal. Sabong. Yeah, cockfight. So, we have Basilio, 10-year-old son of Sisa, an acolyte tasked to ring the church bells for the Angelus. Diba? Yung nagpapatunog ng kampana. He faced the dread of losing his younger brother and descent of his mother into insanity. At the end of the novel, Elias wished Basilio to bury him by burning in exchange of chest of gold located on his death ground. He will later play a role or major role in El Filibusterismo. Basilio will grow up in the custody of Don uh, tawag nun, Kapitan Tiago, no? In El Filibusterismo, on the second part of the novel. So, the one who died is Crispin. Crispin is Caesar's 7-year-old son, an altar boy. He was unjustly accused of stealing money from the church. So, pinagbintangan po siyang nagnakaw. After failing to force Crispin to return the money he allegedly stole, Father Salvi and the head sacristan killed him. But they're blaming this young child, no, to uh tag dito, to be the one who stole the the money from the church, but in actual the head sacristan is the one who stole it, no? Blame to Crispin. So Crispin died, no? And that's the reason why Sisa became insane, no? Young child niya yun, eh, yung pangalawang anak niya. Padre Hernando de la Sibilia is a Dominican friar. He is described as short and has fair skin. He is instructed by an old priest in his order to watch over Crisostomo Ibarra. So, minamatyagan niya lahat ng kilos ni Crisostomo Ibarra. So, he kept, ang tawag dito, track of Ibarra's activities, life. So, he was the one. No? And we have Padre Salvi or Bernardo Salvi, the Franciscan curate of San Diego, who secretly harboring lust for Maria Clara. So, pinagnanasaan niya si Maria Clara. No, gustong-gusto niya yan si Maria Clara. He is described to be very thin and sickly. It is also hinted that his last name, Salvi, is the shorter form of Salvi, meaning salvation, or Salvi is short for salvaje. Yeah. So, in the novel, he will be, he will, ang tawag dito, he will try to influence Damaso and Kapitan Tiago not to continue the engagement or the marriage of Crisostomo Ibarra and Maria Clara, no? Because he wanted Maria Clara, no? And in the latter part of the novel, Maria Clara will be serving in the church, in the convent, where Salvi is. No? Padre Salvi is. And he will continuously use Maria Clara, sexually. No? Then these are the minor characters. So, daanan na lang po natin yung mga minor characters. We have El Alferez or Alperez, the chief of the Guardia Civil, the mortal enemy of the priest for power in San Diego, and husband of Doña Consolacion. Doña Consolacion is the wife of Alferez. She is regarded as La Musa de los Guardias Civiles or the muse of the civil guards. Tinatawag din siya minsan na Alfereza. Dati siyang labandera, former laundry woman who passes herself as a peninsular, best remembered for her abusive treatment of Sisa. So, she got her, you know, um, her position as peninsular just because he became the wife of Alferez. Don Tiburcio de Espadanya, the husband of Doña Victorina, he is a Spanish quack doctor who is limp and submissive to his wife, Doña Victorina. Under. Yan, si Don Tiburcio. Very submissive to his wife. A quack doctor. Ano siya, hindi naman talaga siya doktor pero feeling doktor. Teniente Guevara is a close friend of Don Rafael Ibarra, Crisostomo's father. And he's the one who reveals Crisostomo Crisostomo how Don Rafael Ibarra died. No? Or paano nga ba siya namatay? Alfonso Linares is a distant nephew of Tiburcio de Espadaña, the would-be fiancé of Maria Clara. So I have mentioned earlier that Padre Damaso, Padre Salvi is against of the engagement between Maria Clara and Ibarra. So they recommended to Capitan Tiago, no, to marry Alfonso Linares instead of Ibarra. Although he presented himself as a practitioner of law, it was later revealed that he, just like Don Tiburcio, is a fraud. Hindi rin naman pala siya talaga practitioner of law. He later died due to the given medications of Don Tiburcio. Yan. Pamangkin siya ni Don Tiburcio, pero namatay siya, he died because of Don Tiburcio as well. Kasi nga, Don Tiburcio is a quack doctor and he gave medicine to Linares and that's the cause of his death. We have Tia Isabel, Kapitan Tiago's cousin and the one who raised Maria Clara. Siya yung, she was the one who raised and assisted Maria Clara. Wherever Maria Clara goes, she's there, ready to assist. Governor General is unnamed person in the novel, but he is the most powerful official in the Philippines. He has great disdain for the friars and corrupt officials and sympathizes with Ibarra. So, well, at least Governor General is not in favor of the abusive power of the friars. No? Don Philip Don Filippo Lino. Yeah. Don Filippo Lino is the vice mayor of the town San Diego and the leader of the liberals. Padre Manuel Martin, a linguist curate of a nearby town who delivers the sermon during San Diego's fiesta. Don Rafael Ibarra, the father of Crisostomo Ibarra, though he is the richest man in San Diego, he is also the most virtuous and generous guy. No? But he died later on. And his his body were thrown in the river. No? Itinapo na lang yung katawan niya. So later on, you will also have an idea regarding that. Doña Pia Alba is the wife of Capitan Tiago and the biological mother of Maria Clara. Doña Pia Alba died giving birth to her daughter. In reality, she was raped by Padre Damaso so she could bear a child. And that's the belief come from that, Maria Clara's biological father is actually Padre Damaso, not Capitan Tiago. Don Pedro E. Baramendia rather, great-grandfather of Crisostomo Ibarra, who came from the Basque area of Spain, and he started the misfortunes of Elias' family. But despite of that, Elias became a good friend of Crisostomo Ibarra. Don Saturnino Ibarra is the son of Don Pedro, father of Don Rafael, and grandfather of Crisostomo. So, Don Pedro is the great-grandfather. Kumbaga, lolo sa tuhod ni Crisostomo Ibarra yan. Don Saturnino is his grandfather. Okay? He was the one who developed the town of San Diego, and he was described as a cruel man, but he was a very clever one. No? So, Don Pedro, Don Saturnino, Don Rafael, and then Crisostomo. Si Sinang, close friend of Maria Clara. Because Crisostomo Ibarra offered half of the school he was building to Sinang, and he gained Kapitan Basilio's support. Basilio, that's not the Basilio, the son of Sisa. That's not the one. A different Basilio. Kapitan Basilio is Sinang's father, leader of the conservatives. So, like what I've told you earlier, this Basilio is not the same Basilio as the son of Narcisa. Pedro is the abusive husband of Sisa who loves cockfighting. Sabong. Tandang Pablo, leader of the Tulisanes or the bandits, whose family was destroyed because of the Spaniards. So although they are minor characters, still played a part or a role in showing the abusive uh, rule of the friars and the Spanish government. We also have Sacristan Mayor, one who governs the altar boy and killed Crispin for his accusation. But in reality, again, he was the one who stole, not Crispin. So this is the summary, the plot summary of Nole Me Tangere. Yan. So, since 7 years nag-aral si Crisostomo Ibarra sa ibang bansa. Yan. He completed his studies in Europe for 7 years. He wasn't around in San Diego. And then when he came back, Don Santiago de los Santos, which is Kapitan Tiago, threw a get-together party. And then, maraming umattend doon. A lot of friends, but there were also friars and other prominent figures who were present during that time. So one of the guests were former San Diego curate, Fray Damaso or Padre Damaso. During that party, he belittled and slandered Crisostomo Ibarra. But Ibarra was patient enough, no, to brush it off and did not mind whatever Padre Damaso speaks of him. So all the insults, no. So he did not pay attention to that. He instead politely excused himself and left the party because of an allegedly important task. Sabi may importante daw siyang asikasuin. So he excused himself in the party. Then the next day, he visited Maria Clara, his betrothed, the beautiful daughter of Capitan Tiago and affluent resident of Binondo. So there, when they met, they Maria Clara cannot help herself but to reread the letters that Ibarra sent him when he was in Europe. No? So before Ibarra left for San Diego, Lieutenant Guevara and civil guard reveals to him the incidents preceding the death of his father. So um, Teniente Guevara talked to Ibarra about the death of his father, Don Rafael. According to Teniente Guevara, Don Rafael was unjustly accused of being a heretic, in addition to being a subservient, an allegation brought forth by Damaso because of Don Rafael's non-participation in the sacraments. Hindi daw kasi siya nagpartake sa confession and sa misa. No? So, Damaso is the one, no, who accused him to be anti-church or heretic. Damaso's animosity against Ibarra's father is aggravated by another incident when Don Rafael helped out a fight between a tax collector and a child fighting. Well, the child or the former's death was blamed on him, although it was not deliberate. So, siya yung sinisi sa pagkamatay ng bata. Kahit na namagitan lang naman siya doon. Okay? So suddenly, all of those who thought ill of him surfaced additional complaints. So when that incident happened to Don Rafael, um, all the people who hated him, no, speak ill of him, and uh, nagsipaglabasan sila, and sinabi nila madami daw atraso si Don Rafael. So he was imprisoned. And just when the matter was almost settled, he died of sickness in jail. So nagkasakit si Don Rafael. He got sick inside the jail, and still not contented, Padre Damaso arranged for Don Rafael's corpse to be dug up from the Catholic Church, because for Damaso, he did not deserve a Christian burial or a Catholic burial. So he asked for two guys to dug up his body, to remove it from the Chinese to remove it from the grave, and brought to a Chinese cemetery. Yeah, because it is inappropriate to allow a heretic a Catholic burial ground. Unfortunately, it was raining. Umuulan yon noong time na hinukay yung katawan ni Don Rafael. It was raining when they dug up his body. And because of the some of the weight of the body, kasi nga umuulan, maputik, mabigat na, the undertakers decided to throw the corpse into a nearby lake. So tinapon na lang po nila yung katawan. Revenge was not in Ibarra's plans. So even though it is painful to hear that his father's body were thrown into the lake, no, he did not think of any revenge. But what he did, he put up a school. That was Don Rafael's plan, no, to put up a school, since he believed that education would pave the way to his country's progress. Very Jose Rizal in that part. No? All over the novel, and the author refers to both Spain and Philippines as two different countries as part of a same nation or family, with Spain seen as the mother and Philippines as the daughter, related. During the inauguration of the school, Ibarra would have been killed in a sabotage had Elias, a mysterious man, who had warned Ibarra earlier of a plot to assassinate him, but not saved him. Parang kumbaga winarningan lang siya na ipapapatay ka, ganyan. So, instead, the hard killer met an unfortunate incident, and the hard killer died. The sequence of events proved that to be too traumatic for Maria Clara. Masyadong nag-alala si Maria Clara doon, no? Tag dito, kumbaga naapektuhan yung kanyang kalusugan, that affected his health. So what Ibarra did, he gave a medication to Maria Clara, no, to help her calm down, and para mawala yung nung time na yun, may sakit kasi si Maria Clara. Then after the inauguration, Ibarra hosted a luncheon. Siyempre, tapos na yung inauguration ng school. So, may salo-salo. Okay? So, well, nag-gate crash doon si Padre Damaso. Padre Damaso gate crashing the luncheon. And again, insulted Crisostomo Ibarra. Ibarra ignored the priest's insolence. But when Damaso slandered the memory of his dead father, he was no longer able to restrain himself, and longed at Damaso, prepared to stab him for his impudence. So parang insultuhin mo na ako, wag lang ang namayapa akong ama. Insult me, but not my dead father. So, ginit ulo niya. Then, he prepared to stab Padre Damaso. Padre Damaso is still a priest. So, it shows din na, si Rizal to. Si Ibarra kasi he tried to kill a friar. As a consequence, Damaso excommunicated Ibarra, taking this opportunity to persuade the already hesitant Don Tiago or Capitan Tiago, to forbid his daughter from marrying Ibarra. Parang, is this the man you want to get married to your daughter? No? So, during that time, hesitant na nga si Capitan Tiago. No? The friar wished Maria Clara to marry Linares, a peninsular who had just arrived from Spain. No? With the help of the Governor General, because the Governor General sympathizes Ibarra, the excommunication was nullified, and the Archbishop decided to accept him as a member of the church once again. But as fate would have it, some incident of which Ibarra had known nothing about was blamed to him or on him, and he is strongly arrested and imprisoned. So okay na, nasettle na regarding with his excommunication, but there's still an issues or incident that press charges no against Crisostomo Ibarra. The accusation against him was then overruled because during the litigation that followed, nobody no, could testify that he was indeed involved. So, binasura yung accusation sa kanya. Unfortunately, his letter to Maria Clara somehow got into the hands of the jury, and is manipulated such that it then became evidence against him by the parish priest, Fray Salvi. So, if you can still remember, he's been sending letters to Maria Clara when he was in Europe. Those letters were used and manipulated to uh, to press charges against Crisostomo Ibarra. So nakarating yun sa jury, and they used those letters no, as an evidence against Crisostomo Ibarra. So with Machiavellian precision, Fray Salvi framed Ibarra and ruined his life just so he could stop him from marrying Maria Clara and making the latter his concubine. At mapasakamay niya si Maria Clara. Meanwhile, in Capitan Tiago's residence, a party was being held to announce the upcoming wedding of Maria Clara and Linares. Ibarra, with the help of Elias, took the opportunity to escape from prison. Before leaving, Ibarra spoke to Maria Clara and accused her of betraying him, thinking that she, gave the letter he wrote her to the jury. Nag-away si Ibarra at saka si Maria Clara at sinasabi niya na, you're the one who betrayed me because you're the one who handed those letter to the jury. So Maria Clara explained that she would never conspire against him, but that she was forced to surrender Ibarra's letter to Padre Salvi in exchange for the letters written by her mother even before she was born. So napilitan siyang ibigay yung letters ni Ibarra kapalit ng letters na sinulat ni Doña Pia Alba. The letters were from her mother Pia Alba to Damaso, alluding to their unborn child, and that Maria Clara was therefore not Capitan Tiago's biological daughter, but Damaso's. Okay? So parang naipit lang si Maria Clara doon, no? Ah, they wanted the letters from Ibarra in exchange of the letters of Doña Pia Alba. Afterwards, Ibarra and Elias fled by boat. Elias instructed Ibarra to lie down. So this was the time na um, Elias will die. Uh, Elias instructed Ibarra to lie down, covering him with grass to conceal his presence. As luck would have it, they were spotted by their enemies. Elias, thinking he could outsmart them, jumped into the water. So the guards rained shots on him, all the while not knowing that they were aiming at the wrong person because Ibarra is in the boat. It was Christmas Eve when Elias woke up in the forest fatally wounded, as it is here where he instructed Ibarra to meet him. But instead of Ibarra, Elias found the altar boy Basilio cradling his already dead mother, Sisa. No. Ayan. So, nagkataon naman, no, coincidentally that Basilio was there, no, with his dead mother. So the latter lost her mind when she learned that her two sons, Crispin and Basilio, were chased out of the convent by the sacristan mayor on suspicions of stealing sacred objects and money. Yan. So, but in actual nga, it was the sacristan mayor who stole the objects and the money and only pinned the blame on the two boys. Okay? Elias, convinced that he would die soon, he instructed Basilio to build a funeral pyre and burn his and Caesar's bodies to ashes. He tells Basilio that if nobody reaches the place, he come back later on and dig for he will find gold. He also told Basilio to take the gold and go to school. No? Use that gold to provide for his schooling. In his dying breath, he instructed Basilio to continue dreaming about freedom for his motherland with the words, I shall die without seeing the dawn break upon my homeland. You, which is Basilio, you who shall see it, salute it. Do not forget those who have fallen during the night. And Elias died. In the epilogue of the novel, it was explained that Capitan Tiago became addicted to opium and he was seen to frequent the opium house in Binondo to satiate his addiction para ipagpatuloy yung paggamit ng opium. And because Capitan Tiago is not in a good condition anymore because of the opium, Maria Clara became a nun where Padre Salvi, who has lusted after her from the beginning of the novel, regularly used her to fulfill his lust. One stormy evening, a beautiful, crazy woman was seen at the top of the convent, crying and cursing the heavens for the fate it has handed her. While the woman was never identified, it is suggested that the said woman was Maria Clara. And that's the end of Noli Me Tangere. In the continuation of El Filibusterismo, since natapos tayo sa namatay si Elias, Elias died, and then what happened to Ibarra afterwards? So, and then what happened to Maria Clara? Did she die? No? So, Basilio, what is the main role or big part of Basilio in the novel El Filibusterismo? No? So that's why El Fili is the continuation of Noli Me Tangere. If Noli Me Tangere is about exposing the cancer of the society, no? El Filibusterismo is the last resort. It's the call for revolution. No? So later or next time, I will be discussing El Filibusterismo. Okay? But for now, ayan, Sobre la Indolencia de los Filipinos. This one is an essay published by Jose Rizal explaining why or what's the reason of the laziness of the Filipinos. Were the Filipino really lazy? What are the factors that makes the Filipinos lazy? Are you still there? Diyan pa po ba kayo? Ayan, may isang nag-heart. So, matira matibay. Sino kaya ang mga natira? So, I hope um as we recall the plot summary and the characters played in the novel, no, it brings you back to your early uh, knowledge about the novel No Limitangere. Very few of us will remember this, pero habang binabaybay natin yon, no, it will brings you back sa time na pinag-role play pa kayo ng teacher nyo para lang dito sa No Limitangere. Pinagawa ng project, pinagsulat ng summary and all. No? So, I will continue my discussion about the indolencia next week. Would it be fine with you? We will dismiss early. Is it okay with you? Ay, sabi ko nga kanina, first day of uh, class after the vacation, medyo may hangover pa kayo sa bakasyon. Baka naman isumpa niyo na ako pag nagpatuloy ako sa aking discussion. Anyway, next week pa po tayo. We will have quiz next week. Okay? Regarding the topic of No Limitangere. Next week pa naman. So next week na lang. If not, next week, pwede. The week after next. Para mabuo natin. Medyo mahaba nga lang. By the way, I just want to remind everyone, who among you already done with the faculty evaluation? Can you raise your hand? Those who are done evaluating, meron na po ba nag-evaluate? Um, Martinez, Laiban. Sige. Those who are not yet evaluating or not answering the evaluation, it's until April 26. So we still have until next week. However, I will be requiring you to answer the